think it's so inspiring how you've built your platform, not just for a space that feels it's like authentic, empowering, and it's really grounded in personal growth. And before we dive in to the questions, it would be amazing if we could just start off with a quick introduction and if you could tell us a bit about yourself in your own words.
Yeah, thank you so much. Very honored you guys reached out. Happy to have this chat. So, a quick introduction to myself. I am a content creator. Been on social media for 9, 10 years now. Based on that, we started my media company, which is Valeria Inc. And launched multiple different kind of business ventures, grew the platforms. I have now, we're at about over 6.5 million followers, and yeah, through that, I kind of developed into fashion beauty space, which is where I started, and then got into kind of the self-discovery, self-growth, which also brought on the podcast, Not Alone. And I'm also a mom to three boys, a Russian Jew. I was born in Russia, grew up in Israel, lived in Canada, and now we live in Miami. So quite a bit of a journey. And yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, my first question would be kind of based off of you talking about you've lived everywhere.
Mhm.
How has your Jewish identity kind of evolved through living in those different environments?
Well, I don't have much to comment on Russia because we left when I was about 2, 3 years old. So my earliest memory is in Israel, and I was in Israel from that age until about 19, 20 years old. So my whole kind of like education career, I grew up in Israel. I didn't really think too much about my Jewish identity because when Israel, it's just it is, everyone is Jewish, everyone is Israeli, so you don't really overthink it. I definitely remember a time earlier on when I went to like first grade, definitely felt like a little bit different because it was kind of the Russian immigration back then in the 90s. So that was unique. But then I very much grew up, part of I don't know, the values and morals, and that's just like how everyone grew up. So it was a beautiful way to kind of experience Judaism without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to Canada, I think that that's was the first time where I've realized that, oh, I have to work to keep this going because now I'm among so many different people and so many different cultures, and it can easily kind of get diluted. And I've realized that it's so important for me to keep that identity because it's something that I'm very proud of. I still have a lot of friends and family in Israel, and it's definitely something that's been part of, I would say, my resilience, even just knowing that I belong, to the Jewish people and to Israel. It kind of brought me a certain kind of power and motivation that I feel like we all feel it's in us. So yeah, so I started noticing that okay, I gotta work a little bit harder, gotta do more things, gonna keep the traditions, and especially when I became a mother and had my boys, that's definitely something that we were it was important to us. So started doing Shabbat dinners and all the things to kind of keep it going. And I have to be honest, then moving to Miami, I kind of feel like I'm back in Israel. It really feels that the Jewish spirit and Israel is kind of everywhere around me. So I feel a little bit of that same kind of, oh, it's everywhere. Everyone is like that. It's obviously not, but I think even energetically, there's a lot of Latin Americans here, and I see like so many similarities. So the energy is there, so it's easier to feel closer to that identity and kind of, to be able to celebrate it openly. That's something that's very special about living in Miami. But yeah, but definitely something that I started noticing only at the age of like 20, and then after, of course, October 7th, where your all of our bubbles been burst.
I love that it's kind of become based on where you're going, different parts of your life and how you've taken that and really focused on that because it was such a priority to you. Would you say
Mhm.
that, that kind of influences how you go about your career and kind of shaped your career journey as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, this feeling of motivation and resilience and the need to succeed and to build something is something that I feel is ingrained in me because of um, just like our background and my identity. So that's definitely contributed to everything. Uh, I definitely think that now, again, after October 7th, it changed the way I look at certain decisions that I make, even business wise. Like I look at who I work with. I really pay attention to details that I did not really pay attention before.
So, when you first started making YouTube videos and starting your platform, did you imagine it would become the platform that it is right now?
No, I honestly looked at social media back then. I did start with YouTube first. I looked at it as just a way to get over my own kind of limiting beliefs and fears. I came from the modeling industry where I was comfortable on camera, but not in my own kind of skin and with my own personality. I was more of a canvas, and I looked at social media as an opportunity to really build up that voice and the message. I didn't really think what it could be. It was more like, okay, I have two little kids and I really don't want, I have to kind of walk the walk in order to show them what's possible and how to kind of get over your own fears. And one of my fears were really that putting myself out there, judgment from other people. And, to me, the natural thing to do is kind of jump into the deep end, which was going on YouTube and filming videos and getting on social media. But it started from that perspective. And then early on, we recognized that this is going to be the media of the future, and we jumped on the opportunity to really, take it and build it into something bigger.
I think me and the rest of your audience, we really appreciate how authentic you are. How do you balance that authenticity with performance when, your life is kind of also your brand?
Yeah, there's ebbs and flows to it. It's definitely very different than any other industry. I mean, there's a lot of creatives out there that are able to put down their kind of craft and then go back home and do their thing. With creators, content creators on social media, your life becomes your work. So it requires a lot of discipline to make sure that you are your priorities are very straight. I have to say that having children made it a little bit easier for me. Like I always think about the younger generation. If I started doing this when I was maybe 19, it would have been a very scary landscape for me because I did not know myself enough and did not have enough of discipline to be able to move away from certain like temptations, and I see a lot of young girls around me that, whenever I have an opportunity to talk to, I'm like, this is not, it feels very shiny, but it's rotten inside. So you have to make sure that you build, this career based on what you want and need, not what others tell you they want from you. So it's been easier for me to balance it because I have a family and obviously they're my priority. But I think that to this day, it's constantly just being very in tune with yourself and also really learning the the art of like that I don't have to be part of every conversation and I don't, really knowing your place. That's also something that's very difficult to do on social media because people make you believe that it's your obligation to talk about this or do this or show this. And it took me a while to say, no, that's outside of my expertise, and that's not something that I care to share, or that's not even part of my message. So I don't want to share it. So it's also becoming very firm with what you stand for.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you.
Mhm.
Um, what was there a moment that you kind of realized that you really had influence in other people in what you post? And kind of what was that like?
Oh my God, so many moments. I mean, listen, it's crazy because I realize that I have a big platform, but it's still a very, the day to day, I'm on my own or with, my a few members of my team, and it's me and the phone, and I'm filming videos. So it's not like I'm standing on a stage in front of 6 million people. So it really, there's this disconnect of sometimes when you're out there in the world in real life and people come up to you and they're like, when you said this, it really changed my life. Or if when you showed up in that way, that really helped me. I have that disconnect still. And I think a lot of creators online, like it's hard for us to bring those two worlds together and understand how much influence there is. But every time I get to meet one of my, members of my community that stop me on the street or when we travel, like it's always it kind of reminds me my why. Um, but I don't remember anything specific because throughout the years, it's just so many people with so many stories, and I feel very grateful that I'm able to share my life and my journey and be able to influence, even like a little bit someone else's life. So that's part of the magic of this.
Yeah. So on that topic, looking back at your life and your journey, um, do you feel like there is a certain mindset that kind of changed the way? Because I know you talked about, you talk to younger girls and stuff like that. And I was wondering if there was like a mindset shift that kind of changed your life and led you to who you are today.
I think one of the biggest things is when I started operating kind of from a place of like what I'm doing right now are the building blocks for the future me. My mind shifted, and I started kind of looking more long term thinking, so certain things that were maybe felt like very necessary at the moment, I was like, is this going to move the needle for me in 5 to 10 years or even in 2 years, and a lot of things actually dropped out and dropped off when I started moving from that kind of place. So if it's conversations that I was engaging, that I was like, is this really going to benefit the future me? Is it the actions that I was taking, the friendships that I was, trying to keep alive? Business kind of things that I was working so hard to try to make it work. I was like, is this taking me to where I want to be in 5 years from now? So when that shifted for me, I stopped wasting a lot of time and effort, and it became just like more intentional living.
I love that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Kind of based off of that, my last question would be, um, what advice do you have for students or just the younger generation who are interested in creating their own business or pursuing content creation?
Listen, I gotta say that right now is the most amazing time there is because the barrier to entry to do anything, to put your story out there, to put your business out there is so, so low. I don't think and I say we because myself included, we don't realize how unique these times are. There's so many. Huge people, like great business people and brand owners and all the things that fought so hard to try to get themselves through kind of like the gatekeepers. We don't have that anymore. So I think that just knowing that it's all out there and all it takes is really like grit and discipline and work ethic. Um, that should be a motivation enough because we are able to build things right now, whether it's sharing our interests and what we care about or commenting on things like literally the world is at your feet. So I think it's the most beautiful thing, and I hope that young people are able to really double down on these times because I don't know if it's going to continue being like that. We're going to change. And I know it feels sometimes that like the world is so dark, but I feel like there's a lot of forces that are trying to slow us down, but just continue to remembering that we're living in times that are giving us the most amount of opportunity and to really like jump on it and not be afraid is the most important thing.
thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today and just tell me your story and just really amazing pieces of advice. So I just really appreciate it. I love what you do, and thank you so much.